All right. Don't forget to record that.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm Ed Wells,
Lynn Davidson.
and we are the co-coordinators of University Park's Community Mosquito Control Program. Emphasis on the word community. It's a non-government volunteer civic activity that gets support from the town government in a way of maybe access to their website. And what we want to do is give a little bit about the approach we've taken and talk about the first line of defense, which is yard cleanup, and the second line of defense, which is mosquito traps. And then after about maybe 20, 25 minutes, we'll turn it back to Dawn, and she can tell you what she has in mind for Hyattsville, because Hyattsville's situation is a little bit different than what we had. And we'll just take it from there. We plan to talk for maybe 20, 30 minutes, and probably closer to 30, and we can stay for questions and answers. And if you have questions in the middle, Dawn, you can be the moderator and let us know, and we'll answer the questions. How about that?
Sounds great. So if you guys have questions, you can put them in the chat. And if we have the opportunity to break for questions, we will. Otherwise, we'll address them at the end,
Okay.
one way or the other.
We
When
don't
you're
see
ready
the
for
chat where
questions,
we are.
let me know.
Because
Yeah.
we're using our laptop as the camera.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So we've actually been trying to be disciplined and scientific in our approach to getting rid of mosquitoes, or reducing mosquitoes, at least in University Park, for over 10 years. And initially it was with University of Maryland interns and working with the state, but in about 2016, 2017, by chance and by luck, we got to take part in a townwide campaign to buy the mosquito trap that I'm going to show you tonight, and try and see if they had any impact on mosquito populations. And by 2017, almost half the town had these traps and put them out in their yards. And a faculty member from Rutgers and also a Smithsonian scientist, the same person, came to University Park and did surveillance, population surveillance and catch rates to determine whether or not these traps made a difference. And she found that they did. The more traps you had in an area, the fewer mosquitoes were found. So we continued that program voluntarily. She went away, she'd done her paper, and we've continued to encourage people to buy the traps, to have the traps, to participate in the townwide mosquito community mosquito control program, and to make it really a community program. The first line of defense is the simplest, and that is yard cleanup, we call it. The strategy is to remove standing water. Why? Mosquitoes can't breed without standing water. They need standing water in order to lay their eggs, which then hatch into larvae, which then develop into an adult mosquito. And the particular mosquito species that bothers us the most, the Asian tiger mosquito, it turns out, they're very weak flyers. 15 feet is a long way for them to go. So what the conditions in your personal yard and your neighbor's yard are really critical. If neighbors work together, then everybody benefits by reducing the population overall, as opposed to one person working alone and the neighbor's mosquitoes come in over the fence, and you're not much better off than when you started. A little bit, but not as much as you could be. So the idea for us here in University Park is to have neighbors work with each other and to make it, like I said, a community effort. So the first thing we do is encourage people to have yard inspections, where someone with a layperson's knowledge of mosquitoes and what effectively reduces mosquitoes in your yard, which I learned in probably 10, 20 minutes. It's not rocket science at all. It's just ordinary people can learn this pretty quickly. And then based on that, do a careful walk around with an interested neighbor through the yard, front and back, and look for sources of standing water. That's the name of the game. Just walk through and look for sources of standing water. It takes 15, 20 minutes. It's a great way to get to know your neighbor on a whole different level. And the key to success there is to look also in all the places you don't see every day, like around at the very edges of the fences and behind the bushes, and see what's there that's trapping water. So the first rule is if the water is going to stand for less than a week, you ignore it, because the mosquito larvae take a week to become adults. But if it's going to stay there for more than a week, then you want to either dump it or dunk it or screen it. And I'll tell you what those mean right now. So what do you find in your yard that's trapping water? Well, the first thing you might find would be the ordinary yard clutter like this. Little plant ram, plant pot, plastic implements that have little divots in them. Those things, you either put them away or dump them out, or put them away in such a way that they don't collect water. Turn things up, turn pots upside down, things like that. So the water just flows off and they shed it. Then another thing, and this to me is the absolute most overlooked source of mosquito and breeding in our yards. That piece of corrugated drain pipe that everybody has sticking out of their downspouts. Lynn, what do we do with that? What's the first thing we do?
First thing we do is, well, you look in it, clean it out, if you can. Second thing is wherever it's connected, you know, if it's tilted up, then you want to wrap some piece of plastic or duct tape or something around it at the connection to a downspout so that the mosquitoes can't get in or out of them. And then, and actually this isn't a 1, 2, 3, this is just a list. Then we take these really neat, nifty, knee-high pantyhose. They're not pantyhose, they're knee-highs. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of them.
It's from my personal collection, I'll have you know.
Yeah. And so what we do is we cover the end with the knee-high. And then when the water flows through, it comes through and everything is trapped here. So if there are mosquitoes in there, they get trapped. That's it.
And the mosquitoes that want to get in can't.
Right.
So, and you got to clean them out probably once a month. The leaves come down off the roof and get trapped by that too. But
Yeah.
that's the best thing to do with this corrugated drain pipe is to take it away and throw it and replace it with straight-sided pipe if you can do that. But if you cannot, this is a cheap workaround. We specialize in cheap tricks here in University Park.
People like it.
Yes. So another mosquito heaven is bamboo. What would you do with bamboo, Lynn?
What I would do with bamboo is, bamboo is reticulated, and so there's like a barrier where it's reticulated. So if your bamboo is in the ground and you're not going to pull it out, then what I would do is I would use mosquito bits, and mosquito bits actually kill the larvae. Just a few of them in there, where the standing water is, will kill any mosquito larvae.
I would first of all get rid of the bamboo,
Well,
but that's a lot of work.
that's
So
a lot of
maybe not this week. But if I were to cut it down short, I'd maybe throw sand in it and fill it up, and the water would be displaced,
There you
or your mosquito bits.
Yeah, right.
The last thing you find are bird baths,
Bird bath.
cement drains, ponds. You cannot move them. You can't pantyhose them. You can't. Maybe the shallow pools where water gathers in a low spot in your lawn. What can we do with those, Lynn?
Now, this is where we use, mosquito bits and mosquito gums. Yes. So I actually have a little pond in my backyard, and we don't run it all the time. It's a little waterfall. And so when we're not running it and we're not going to be around, then I will put Usually I just put a whole bunch of mosquito bits in there because I have dogs and my dogs have been known to eat the mosquito dunks. And I'll have you know that the mosquito dunks are not dangerous to them. Because my dog had eaten a couple of them and they were only dangerous to the mosquito larvae. So this is a dunk. You can get these at Home Depot if they have stock. You can get them on Amazon.
Any garden store,
Yeah.
lots of places.
Yeah.
They're major consumer products made in Baltimore, by the way.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
And so anyway, this is what we call dunking.
Mhm.
So if there's standing water and you can't get rid of it, then we just say, okay, dunk. So you take the bird bath, there's water in there, it's going to be in there, boom, dunk. Put your dunk in there. It is not harmful to birds.
So
It's,
what you're looking at here is plaster and cork and a chemical. The plaster is the white, gives it the white color. That in water will dissolve over time slowly. Cork makes it float, so it stays on the surface where the larvae feed. And the chemical is what's awesome. The chemical is extracted and stabilized from a naturally occurring bacterium. That bacterium preys on mosquitoes and certain biting flies, and that's it. It doesn't prey on anything else in nature. So that little bacterium works by secreting 5 different enzymes that allow it to penetrate if it gets eaten by a mosquito larva, it can penetrate the gut wall of the mosquito and eat it from the inside out. It's nature's, just awesomely ingenious and evil sometimes, but we like them. And these bacteria have no impact whatsoever on bees, butterflies, birds, pets, kids, us. I don't know how many of these has your dog eaten?
at least 2
Yeah.
in one summer.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. How many.
Yeah, he said it was kind of dry and lacked
Yeah.
taste, but kind of chalky and minerally,
Yeah.
tasting notes. So that's the mosquito dunk. And if you put this in, it will last for about a month. And by then it will have entirely dissolved into water. The chemical will have been dispersed into water and it will lack any more potency. So you have to replace it. So about a once a month replacement. The mosquito bits are more granular. They're more like birdseed size. You can see it right here. And those you can scatter over a shallow pond or a pool or a puddle, or maybe something like in a gutter, and they will disperse in very shallow water, and they last about 2 weeks. They're manufactured with a certain time expiration date, so that once they hit water, they're good for, the mosquito bits are good for a couple of weeks, the dunks are good for a month.
Mosquito bits in outside drains. So I have a drain right outside the outside entrance to our basement at the back of the house. And there is sometimes standing water in there because it's at the bottom of the hill. And so I'll just throw a few of these bits in there just to make sure if a mosquito gets in there and lays her eggs, that the eggs won't survive.
And you can do that also in swampy areas where the grass it stays wet, right? If you have an area of your yard where it stays swampy, you can sprinkle some of those. And I would say that the bits versus the dunks, I was quite surprised at the volume that a dunk addresses. So make sure that if you guys are using those, that you look at the I guess the square footage or how much coverage you get from one dunk. And that's another reason why the bits are beneficial, because those dunks are really made for large areas. I was putting one dunk somewhere where I could have used a quarter of one. So anyway.
Yeah, but the dunks cost like $1 each.
Yeah.
$1.50 each. We're not talking big money here. So,
Okay.
but they will cover up to 200 square feet of water surface for a month. But if you put it in some smaller area, they still work. So you'll see we put them in the mosquito traps as well. So that's what we have in the way of yard inspection. So what the first thing you want to do is find people who are really interested, who will learn enough to walk their neighbor through a yard inspection. and encourage neighbors to either dump it out, or put a dunk in, or mosquito bits, or to screen it like with pantyhose. Those are the three cheap tricks we have here, and they work pretty well. And it's low cost to the point of petty cash, so that anybody can do it, and it's gonna not be a big strain on anybody's pocketbook. So if that's not enough, if you want to get into mosquito traps, we can now talk about the traps, unless there are questions. Any questions so far on yard inspections? Any questions come in by chat, Dawn? No?
Dawn, I think you're muted.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. If we change the water in the bird bath every day or two, do we still need to use dunks? Or
No.
bits?
No, because if the water changes, then whatever's in that water is going to go wherever the water goes and won't survive. If there's a chance the water is going to survive, like if you're just sort of recirculating water within a large swimming pool or something, it might make a difference. I don't know, but you put the dunks in and they'll last. So if you take a bird bath and empty it after 3 days and dump the water onto the ground, the larvae won't survive.
But it takes them 7 to 14 days to hatch?
7, not
7.
14.
Okay,
A week. A week's your limit. If it lasts,
Okay.
if the water lasts longer than a week, then yeah, dunk it. All right, shall we proceed?
I have one more. It says, if you put fish in a pond, does that help control the mosquitoes?
Yeah, here.
no, we can't hear.
We couldn't hear the last conversation.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
here.
Okay, if you put fish in your pond, do fish in your pond help control the mosquitoes?
They might, if they eat larvae. Yep.
So that would be a question at the fish store, I guess.
Yeah.
I know that frogs do though. So if you have a pond, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and you have frogs.
And there's a subtlety to that question. That is, mosquitoes aren't the only species that require standing water. Frogs love it, toads love it, all sorts of beneficial species do. And the reason mosquito dunks and mosquito bits are so useful is that you don't have to get rid of all the water. You just have to treat the water that you do have so the mosquitoes don't survive and the other species do. And that's a way to keep the balance there.
All right, I think that's it for our questions.
All right. Well, at this point, we want to get out the trap, right, Lynn?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, Ed.
And at this point, I think Lynn's going to be sort of the camera videographer. And if we need to move the view so you can see things correctly, Lynn, you'll keep things framed as best you can.
I'll do my best.
You'll do your best. And I'll get the trap and we'll show you what this GAT trap is. Oops, not that one. Sorry, over
I
here.
think so. When I look in.
So, so here it is, the GAT trap. Gravid Aedes trap. Aedes is the genus of the Asian tiger mosquito. Gravid means it's pregnant and it wants to lay egg. Well, not pregnant, it wants to lay egg, so it's looking for standing water. And this trap is designed to attract a mosquito who is looking for standing water, and that would be a female ready to lay eggs. We get these traps from a manufacturer called Biogents. It's a company, it's based in Germany. They have a complete warehouse in the United States. They sell over the internet in the United States. And this was the trap that was recommended to us in 2016, 2017, that was studied by the scientists who came to University Park. And if there were another brand, I'd mention it too. I don't know of any other trap like this. And so I'm happy to give the vendor's name and say, where it comes from. So if you order 2 of them, they sell in lots of 2. And so you get, if you were to, and this cost will be subsidized by Hyattsville, I understand, from Dawn. She can talk about that at the end. But you get 2 traps and a pack of sticky cards. So let's take this apart and see what's in it. You got 2 pieces of it basically, and the sticky cards. This is the bottom, it's the bucket. It's empty. We're gonna put water in that. And this is the top. It's got 4 pieces. Take them all apart, we'll put them back together, and I'll show you what all the pieces are. It's mechanically very simple. There are no moving parts. So for someone like me who's not a mechanical genius, an engineering genius, I find this quite easy to deal with. So what fits in the top is, first of all, this clear plastic bell. And on top of the plastic bell, well, actually on the bottom of the plastic is a net. And a ring to hold the net in place. And you tighten up the drawstring. And it will stay there quite happily like that for a month. And you put into the top, you put this black funnel. There's nothing up my sleeve. And it just drops right down in. And you rotate it a bit and it stays there. This then gets put in the top of the trap. So how do we set this up? Well, it takes some water. Into the water goes, into the bucket goes about a half gallon of water. And it fills up as high as these slits. You can maybe see some slots built into the side. Those are little overflow drains, so if the water gets too high, it'll just drain out the side there. Into that water, you put 2 things. First of all, I got my personal stash here. About 1/4 of a mosquito dunk, which is way too much, but it'll do the job just fine. That goes into water. And then about 3 blades of grass, not many. Now, I would highly recommend, I use nothing but locally sourced, organically, eco-friendly grass from a very local source here. You can get it very cheaply. It's like only $12 an ounce at Whole Foods, or you can come over and mow my lawn for me anytime. And that's the grass supply. And what's going on with that? The grass, when this is put in, the grass in the water will give off carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide is a signal to the mosquitoes, which they can detect at very low concentrations, that there's standing water. It's standing, and there's going to be some plant material in it naturally, and it would be giving off carbon dioxide. That's what attracts them. So they will fly into this funnel and down into the trap. Now, inside the trap, we're going to put a piece of plastic with glue on both sides, glue that will stay sticky for a month in hot weather. And we're going to put it in a little slot in the funnel. So that you can see the card there in the inside the chamber. The mosquito flies in, finds it can't get through to the water because that net is blocking it. The mosquito will do one of two things, probably maybe both. It will either lay eggs or not lay eggs, and it will try to get out. Inevitably, always, when it's just, they're wired that way. When they want to go out, they go to the side and they start working their way systematically around this clear chamber, trying to find the way out. And along the way, they run into that sticky card. And that's the end of mama. Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And if she does lay the eggs then drop into the water, and there they encounter the mosquito dunk. So that's the end of babies.
Okay, you want to explain it while I show?
Sure. So, yeah, there's the slot, and the card just, if you can. It slides into that slot, and the slot holds it in place. And it will stay there most of the time for a month. I actually
Even
fish
through
it
rain and even through the rain and,
even through rain and wind. It's
okay.
very stable. I personally, because I'm a little bit geeky about it, I managed to figure out a way to fish a paper clip through a little crack. I mean, not a little crack, a little crevice in the clear plastic. And so I use that, and I put that through a hole in I use that as a hook that also holds it in place. Sometimes the card will slip down and flatten itself out against the bottom of the chamber.
Can you see that?
Can anybody see that? I can see it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Okay.
you can see how it works. And that's how the trap works. So what we're trying to do here then is to attract the mosquito to fly into the trap and not check out. That is the Gravid 80s trap. It has some advantages. It uses no unnatural chemicals. It uses no electricity. It is easy to set up and maintain. So at the end of a month, I will come along and this will be all full of leaves that have blown in and other stuff. You know, nature is such a messy force that, you know, this has got all sorts of detritus in it. So clean it all out, dump the water, dump the remains of the dunk, put in fresh water, put in fresh grass, and clean it all out and put it out for another month. That takes for me about 10-15 minutes per trap. How about for you, Lynn?
Yeah, same.
Yep.
10-15 minutes.
The question always comes up, where in your yard do you put it? There isn't a really good answer, a really simple answer for that. It's kind of an art. Yeah, we could, we can, Lynn, do you want to try and walk this around? We can see where mine are.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe see another kind of trap as well, but that's really what you have to do is experiment and put the traps where they are, where you're getting bitten the most. That's a good place to start. And see if they work there. And if they don't, then try moving them closer to where you think the mosquitoes might be resting, which is always a shady, humid place. So I have one trap. Here.
Can you see that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
we
can see
can
right
see.
there, just sitting there. And over there around the corner of the house, we don't need to go back there if we don't.
Ed, how about pets?
I got another one out there, and that's two of them. I got two more for me. All right, Lynn, give them the tour in my yard. Fine.
Uh-oh, we're losing you. I think you have to go closer back to the TV. I mean, to the TV. Ed, Lynn,
Two are not yet. They're in the cardboard.
Yeah,
we're losing you.
yes.
Think
Oh,
you need
that
to
makes
go
sense.
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going back. Okay. We have too much fun done.
So Ed, how many? Yeah. So there's a question is that how many of these should you put in a 1/4 of an acre lot?
Well,
Is there a
I've got
certain amount?
4. Lynn has 2. The
I
first,
have 4.
you have 4, but we're sort of got in early on this. I would say start with 2, and if you want to get 4, or you can look to a different kind of a trap if you want to. There are other kinds of traps that use power, and they work differently. So either one, there's no right or wrong answer to how many. More is always better, but there's a limit.
Is it also my understanding that they work better in teams? Like if you have multiple residents living together, if all of them team up and get them, it works better when you use them in multiples, or is that not?
Yes, because if you put traps out in your yard, mosquitoes will still come over the fence. If your neighbors put out traps also, then there won't be as many mosquitoes coming over your fence. So everybody benefits the more you work together. You get benefits by banding together and working together. So if you start small, if one person starts and then a few more join, the benefits multiply. They don't just add.
Let me see if there's any other questions. Oh, there's another. Okay, it's just a comment. I like that these target mosquitoes specifically and not indiscriminately killing every insect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so important to keep the balance.
So, shall I jump in now? Do you guys have?
Yeah, no, why don't we turn it over to you, Dawn, and you can say what's going on in Hyattsville, what you have in mind for Hyattsville, because that's really
Yeah.
important. And what
So-
you do in Hyattsville benefits us here in University Park and vice versa.
Yeah,
So we're really eager to hear what
absolutely.
you have to say.
So I want to say to y'all that first to let you know that that we will be the city will be offering a $50 rebate to the first 100 residents for the purchase of a pair. If you are interested, please reach out to me. Currently, we don't have a bottom line price. However, I believe that the cost to the resident will be approximately $35 for a set, opposed to 85, which 85 to 89. So what we're doing is we're going to take orders from now until July 7th. So between now and July 7th, we're going to take orders, and we're going to place orders that following Monday. The city will purchase the GAT traps, and then we'll distribute them, and then we'll set up a date to distribute them with the objective of getting them out to you guys by mid-July, which is peak mosquito season, correct, Ed? And Lynn?
Peak mosquito season starts about first week of July and it goes till middle of October.
Okay, yeah, so we're a little behind at this point, but that is our objective. So any of you on the call, if you are interested, if you could reach out to myself or to environment at hyattsville.org, I believe is the website. You can also I wanted to say that I really was happy with the success that University Park has had. They have had an intern come in and do yard assessments and do some training, and they have have interns that would teach people how to do yard assessments. We have done some of that. We had an intern for a short period of time this early spring who worked on informational brochures and that kind of thing that you'll find on our website. Also, the yard assessments we did, we focused our we focused our outreach in the wards where we had the most complaints to the Department of Ag. So you will find on the website a link to the mosquito page. And I would encourage all of you to continue to complain, to voice your complaints to the Department of Ag. They will come out and take a look, and they will do an assessment. However, the ultimate objective here is to try to, University Park does not have any spraying happening. And I know that we have lots of beekeepers in the city and we have lots of reasons to not spray. So if we can reduce our populations of mosquitoes, the ultimate goal would be to not allow Department of Ag to spray in our city either. But we have a little bit of ways to go. And I think that one of the ways that we can do that is through partnerships with these GAT traps. And so again, we'll be taking orders to environment@hyattsville.org, or to you can reach out to myself, dtaft@hyattsville.org. We have information on our webpage about these GAT traps, and also about a lot of other information that our intern researched while she was working. And what else do I want to tell you all?
May I add something?
Sure.
For those who take advantage of this, let's hope that they also take advantage of the opportunity to tell their neighbors and try to get their neighbors involved, so that you get a little bit, you start something on a block.
Yeah.
You won't be able to do all of Hyattsville is like 5 times the size of University Park. So you're probably not gonna be able to swing a town-wide campaign, but that doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is to start and grow from a certain point. And that's what you're doing. I'm really impressed with what you're doing, Dawn.
Thank you so much. And I would also say to all of you who will participate or who may participate, to please keep reaching out to me if you have questions. There's also additional information that University Park has on their website that they have so graciously offered to share with us. Can we order a trap on behalf of our neighbors? So the reimbursement would be per person. So I'm afraid if you ordered, I guess we could talk about that offline, individual on a case-by-case basis. The reimbursement is for the first 100 people, for the first 100 orders, and it's $2 per person. If we wind up with not that many people signing up, I may be able to work that out. But the ultimate objective is to get as many people to participate as possible. And I think that when we order for our neighbors, which is wonderful, we have to know that those neighbors are going to participate, which is one of the reasons why we chose to do a rebate versus a free GAT trap, because it's just, I want to know that if you're taking a trap, that you're going to put in the effort to use it. Let's see. Do you have to order the glue cards from the company, or is there some generic that is similar enough in size?
There is no generic.
So do they sell, they will come, so you will get a stack of cards with your GAT trap. How long will they last, Ed?
You get 10 cards.
Or Lynn?
Each card is good for about a month, give or take.
Okay.
And the when we come time to replace, last I checked, what is it, Lynn? $25 for 20 cards?
Yeah, they're about $1 each.
Yeah.
And they sell them in packs of, I think, 10, 20, maybe 30.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're there. You can
Right.
always buy more.
And they have a shelf life of forever. Meaning
Of forever.
there's plastic with glue on it. There's paper to keep the glue moist, so you can keep them for, from year to year. It's no big deal.
All right. So that is our presentation. if you have additional questions that you would like another webinar or session similar to this, if you have a yard and you'd like assistance with yard assessments, please reach out with any questions that you have. I'd be happy to answer them. And keep your eyes peeled for new initiatives as far as mosquito control goes. But for now, this is the next step, is to order your GAT traps. And I believe, like I said, I'll take orders until July 7th. And then that Monday morning, we will place the full order, and then we'll set up a day for you to come. We'll set up a distribution day where we're thinking that you guys can come to DPW to pick up your GAT traps and pay your $35 fee. And I will, once I have a bottom line price, I will make sure that that's posted on the website as well. We were kind of short on time, and I really wanted to get this out as soon as possible, which is why we don't have all the information. But we will have it in the next day or so. So I think that is it. Without with that, I will say that we want to save the bees, we want to save our butterflies and other insects, and we have had some challenges in the past where we've lost large amounts of monarch butterflies, monarch caterpillars, where we could not determine the cause. Department of Ag was not out in the area at the time. So we believe that it was possibly a resident who had Joe the mosquito a yard spray that drifted onto a yard where we had the caterpillar larvae. So yes, I hope everyone enjoyed the presentation, and I look forward to hearing from you for your orders. Thank you so much for attending.